All right, have we all recovered? Everyone ready to go again? All right. A day following one of the most just wild moments I think I've ever seen in NASCAR. This video will not be as long as yesterday's race review. I don't even think it was really called a race review, to be honest. But yeah, if you don't know what's going on, just go check the first video out on the channel from yesterday, or just watch the NASCAR race at Martinsville, or go on Twitter and type in NASCAR. You will quickly know what is happening. NASCAR have made a comment, or basically a tweet. They are to look further into the on-track actions of multiple competitors during Sunday's NASCAR playoffs race at Martinsville. And then when you click on that article, you get over here where the senior VP of competition, Elton Sawyer, said Sunday that the officials' immediate focus in the moment was centered around Bell's wall ride. They anticipated a deeper examination light ahead once clear of Sunday's event. We'll look at everything. As I said earlier, we want to go back as we would have done anyway. We'll get back. We'll take all the data, video. We'll listen to in-car. We'll do all that as we would of any event. So, like I said in yesterday's video, I'll give NASCAR until Wednesday, to be honest, to come out with something. They seriously need to address this. It should have been addressed yesterday, to be honest. We're going to get to that in a second. But if they want to just... I mean, the damage is already done because William Byron is in the championship race. But, yeah, you know, there's a lot of issues that came up, and they did not want to address it yesterday. They wanted to run away from it as quickly as possible. So we need to see what they want to do, what they can find in the rule book, whatever they want to make up, to be honest, because we all know, like, they can kind of do whatever they want. They really got to follow the rule book. So, and that's all that has been said. Like, they have not come out and said anything else. They don't want to really address it at the moment. And yeah, so here's my honest opinion on what should have happened. I touched on this at the end of yesterday's video, but I want to give a more detailed explanation of what I thought should have happened. And there's a lot of good questions that you guys actually had. One of the questions was, why would you penalize William Byron if William Byron technically, and that 24 team, didn't do anything wrong? William Byron was just trying not to lose positions. He didn't block for someone. He didn't break a rule. He literally was just trying to not lose positions. And that's a very good question. And to be honest, yeah, it's probably really harsh to penalize William Byron and the 24 team when you look at it from that perspective. Because, again, William Byron is just trying to finish at the position that he's trying to finish in. However, it's not really necessarily penalizing William Byron. It's penalizing the team and or the manufacturer. And then William Byron is kind of like a byproduct of that. The example I would want to use is actually Denny Hamlin with the Toyota engine development penalty that he got, right? So when the little seal on the engine, you know, got broke by a Toyota employee, and it then meant that the JGR team of Denny Hamlin, including the driver and the crew chief, they got penalized. There were fines. You know, Denny Hamlin lost playoff points because of that. Was Denny Hamlin at fault for any of that? No. Was he responsible for any of that? No. Like, that was just a freak thing with the little piece of tape on an engine. Sometimes it's not fair, but everything is together. Like, you win, you lose, it's together. And so William Byron is part of Hendrick Motorsports, and Hendrick Motorsports is part of Chevy. And Chevy are the main dog that put out the call, basically, whatever the plan was, to make sure that Austin Dillon, Ross Chastain, not, you know, and again, that's Trackhouse Racing, that's RCR, even Spire Motorsports. I mean, there's a lot of different avenues here, and it's all comes back to, well, he's part of it. So, you know, your question of why would you penalize William Byron? Well, I mean, why would you have penalized Denny Hamlin for something he had nothing to deal with? Sometimes it's a lot not as simple as that. Everyone plays a part in this bigger game, and when you have two manufacturers blatantly cheating like they did yesterday, then the punishment should come to the two teams that they were trying to help. You know, the two teams that Toyota and Chevy were trying to help. Toyota was trying to help Christopher Bell in the 20, and Chevy was trying to help William Byron in the 24. Hence, those two cars need to be penalized. Not necessarily the drivers. You know, the drivers are driving the car, but those two cars need to be penalized. And so that's what I was hoping to see yesterday. Yesterday, I was hoping to see NASCAR come out after the 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever they needed, however much time they needed. Even if they needed a few hours after the race, if that had to be done. They could have come out with a statement and said, we are going to hold off on announcing the championship 4 for Phoenix. Bear with us. We will release a statement in due time when we have all information and stuff like that. I would have been okay with that. Instead, 30 minutes in, they said William Byron is advancing to the championship 4. And because they said that, you can't really go back on it. Like, that's kind of that. And so now you have a problem where one manufacturer basically got away with it, and another manufacturer still technically got away with it if it wasn't for Bell just hitting the wall and wall riding, which is what NASCAR focused on. They did not focus on the actual race manipulation that was going on yesterday. So what I would have done is I would have disqualified the 24, the 3, the 1, the 23, and the 20. So all 5 cars that kind of played a part in this. So the 23 of Bubba Wallace slowing down intentionally, lying about his tire issue, and then letting Bell pass. Okay, so that's one disqualification. Bell taking advantage of that, and then again, he already wall rode or anything, but Bell taking advantage of that, whether, it's the Toyota game, so then Bell gets disqualified. And then on the Chevy side, Ross Chastain and Austin Dillon, for blocking behind William Byron, I would have disqualified them from the race. And then I would have disqualified William Byron as well from the race. Disqualification, not going, penalizing a lap or anything. No, you lose all points from that race. And whatever the outcome after that would have been the outcome. So I don't know what the outcome would have been after that. I think, I'm guessing Kyle Larson would have advanced. I don't really know. I think if you disqualify Bell and you disqualify Byron, does Larson go in on points? I'm not sure. But whatever the case would have been, that is what I would have done. Now, if that means Bell still makes it even after a disqualification, then you get even more complicated. But that's what I would have done. I would have disqualified all 5 cars that were blatantly, complicit in this issue. We all saw it. We literally all saw it. The proof was right there with our own 2 eyes. Now, NASCAR might use SMT data. They might go back and look at all the radio communications, and the radio communications were available to them as well right after that race, and they could have made that call, but they didn't want to make that call. The right call should have been disqualifying all 5 of them. Yesterday, I said disqualify the 20 and the 24, but then I was like, I don't know what to do after that. I genuinely didn't know. Hendrick Motorsports would have still gotten what they wanted. Chevy would have still gotten what they wanted. Even though William Byron was disqualified, Kyle Larson would have made it, right? So if the 24 and the 20 gets disqualified, Kyle Larson will just hop right in. And it's the same thing for Chevy, and it's the same thing for Hendrick. They don't care. 5, 24, it doesn't matter to them. As long as they get one in, that is what matters. And this all comes back to the playoffs. This all comes back to what causes all this, and that is the playoffs. And if you don't think that is the case, let me just break it down for you real quick. We have basically mini seasons right now, right? So you enter the playoffs, and then you have your playoff points that you accumulated over the regular season. And then it resets after every round, adding more playoff points or whatever you did. So you have 3 mini seasons, 3 races, 3 races, 3 races, and you have elimination points, right? And everything. And you get through these elimination races, and by the end of stage 2 in the elimination race, you know what you need, right? So the more you put teams in this situation where they know what they need, you are able to manipulate the race. We see this in all forms of motorsport. Formula One has the same thing with team orders, right? But the difference is you have 2 cars per team, and you don't have a bigger, boss. The Red Bull technically has 4 with Toro Rosso or Red Bull Visa, whatever they want to call them now. But you know what I mean. In NASCAR, you have so many more cars, and you have the manufacturer aspect as well. And essentially, with this playoff system, you are just allowing your competitors to take advantage any way they can. And this is nothing new. This is nothing new. We've always seen this, whether it be any form of race manipulation, letting a teammate go, working with a teammate, not working with Chevys or Fords at plate tracks if you're a Toyota, and vice versa. Like, this is team orders, whatever you want to call it. But when you get to these elimination markers and you get to this playoff system, and the whole goal is to make this final race so you can have a chance to win a championship, then all hell goes out the window, because you have a lot more chips at your disposal to make things fall your way. So it was only a matter of time something like this was going to happen, because we have seen it already. And again, another elimination race. The one time we saw this was technically not in the playoffs. It was actually at Richmond. But what is Richmond? Richmond is an elimination race. And so when Michael Waltrip Racing was trying to get, I said Clint Boyer yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was Martrix Jr. who was trying to get advanced in. When they were trying to get Truex Jr. advanced in, they were trying to manipulate the race using their NWR cars in an elimination race because they knew what they needed at that time. When you have a playoff system that has multiple elimination races and you give your teams multiple opportunities to manipulate the race because they know what they need to advance to the next round, you open yourself up. You open the can of worms. You open the party box to what can happen because it's the system that you put into play, NASCAR. This is, at the end of the day, while you should penalize who you should penalize, and you guys haven't done that yet. I'm not going to call you out on it 100% yet because you still have till Wednesday to do what you should do. I personally do not believe William Byron should be competing for a championship on Sunday. I don't think he should have that opportunity because Chevy manipulated the race in William Byron's favor. He should not have a chance to compete for that championship. That's just my opinion. However, we'll see if that continues. But you open yourself up to all this nonsense because of the playoff system. Because this is the system you want them to play by. Let's just say hypothetically, we go back to 36 races and the normal Winston Cup format, right? This is never going to happen, but I'm just pointing this out. On the final race of the season, there is still a chance you have race manipulation. Yes, of course. Absolutely. If you have 2 drivers, 3 drivers, 4 drivers, whoever it might be going into the final race of the season, and you know exactly what you need to get this driver the championship, of course, maybe you'll have teammates and stuff like this. This can happen. Yes, of course. I understand this. However, what is the likelihood of that happening? It is so much lower because of the fairness that goes on throughout the entire season. There are a lot of drivers and teams that have already been eliminated over the course of the season because they don't have enough points or whatever. And when you have 2 drivers going after 1 spot maybe, and then it gets a little bit more difficult to manipulate the race. And you know what? If it ever comes to that point where you get to a final race after all these races and they're only separated by, like, let's say 2 points and stuff like that, and there's still race manipulation that happens, then NASCAR, you got to make the call. My point is, the playoff system that they have implemented has opened this up to where it is quite easy, honestly, to manipulate races if you want to use your cars. And they got away with it because NASCAR didn't punish them. Brad Keselowski put out the tweet yesterday saying that this should be the camel that broke this should be the straw that broke the camel's back, I think is the saying, according to the playoff system. The drivers don't want this system. The teams don't want this system. Maybe the lesser teams do. Actually, yeah, probably like the lower teams because, again, if you win 1 race, you get up to top 16 in owner points, which gets you a lot more money. So, yeah, of course, maybe the teams that are not as big, the teams on the bottom end of the food chain, they probably like the win in your in system just because 1 win gets you, a cheat code to get up there to the top 16. There was I think Mike Ford was on the Actions Detrimental podcast with Denny Hamlin today, and he said something about that. It was mostly bots. He thinks that it's mostly bots complaining on social media about the playoff system, and that's just not the case. And it makes me really frustrated that the so-called executives or leaders of NASCAR in positions of power will actually disregard complaints for that. Like, oh, it's just bots complaining. It's not actually real. This is actually what the fans want. They want entertainment. This is what they wanted. We're just giving them what they want. That's a cop-out. And it's just disrespectful. I try to treat NASCAR with as much respect as possible with everyone that's involved in calling the decisions. I've never once come out here and said Elton Sawyer or called Elton Sawyer names or disrespected Elton Sawyer. I've on a consistent basis actually felt bad for him that he has to constantly face the media and explain his decisions when there's multiple people involved in making those decisions. But to have someone like Mike Ford go on Denny Hamlin's podcast and basically just say the complaints aren't real, you're out of touch. It's that simple. You are out of touch. It is not complaints from a minority. That's not how it works. On that same podcast, they were talking about ratings. Since 2014, we've lost an average of 2 million people watching. In 2014, when this version of the playoffs was implemented, NASCAR was averaging around 4.5 million viewers per race in the middle of the season. Now we are averaging around 2.4 to 2.5 million viewers per race. So we've lost 2 million viewers over the course of 10 years. That's not the ratings going up. Have the ratings slightly increased over the last 2 years? Yes. But we lost 2 million viewers. 2 million viewers consistently over the course of 10 years. So you then can't come out and say that the ratings are up. The ratings are up. The playoff system is fine. Since this playoff system was implemented, we have lost 2 million viewers. That's the facts. That's not, there's no opinion on it. I'm not reading BS out of my mind. I'm not making up numbers. NASCAR averaged 4.5 million viewers per race in 2014 when this system was implemented. It has now dropped to 2.5. You cannot say ratings are the reason why, you want to keep this playoff system because the last 2 years ratings have gone up a little bit. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. You focus so hard on the Game 7 moment that you want from this system that you forget everything else. I saw a really good tweet. I want to give the tweet credit, actually, because I'm basically quoting the tweet. So hold on one second. I bookmarked it. Ross Weiss. He's the director of video content for World of Outlaws. Ross Weiss tweeted this. He said the sport as a whole needs to better learn to appreciate Game 6. Game 7 is only cool because it took 6 games to get there. The quest formats for Game 7 moments are what leads us to S shows like tonight. And I always hate that comparison of Game 7 because Game 7 is special. You don't see it every year. And what do we do in NASCAR? We get an artificial Game 7 every single year, which is the Phoenix Championship race. I don't mind playoffs. I don't mind this idea of trying to artificially generate entertainment via the championship system at the later part of the season. I don't mind it. If you want to do it in a way, just make sure it is fair. And I have been here since day one, guys, since day one. And I've been consistent with this since day one. The only issue I have with this is that you decided in one race. That's it. That's it. I don't want this decided in one race. I don't want artificial Game 7 moments. I don't want the leaders of NASCAR to constantly try to compare this sport to other American sports, a la basketball, a la American football, a la baseball, a la stick and sport. I'm so tired of it. You are unique. You are unique, NASCAR. You're special. Stop comparing yourselves to every other sport and using your reasonings and your excuses because this sport did this or this sport did that. Sit back, take a step back, look at everything, take a step back, look at it, embrace the knowledge, take in information from everywhere and look at what is best for your sport. And what is best for your sport is not what we saw today. And because of what you saw today, that happened because of the system that you implemented. And if you don't punish them accordingly, this crap is going to continue to happen. And the rest of the world, who already looks at you as a joke, everybody in Europe looks at you as a joke. Only America is what watches your sport because that is your base. And you try to feed into this American idea of let's just Americanize this as much as possible with playoffs. You are not the other sports. That's not how you got big in the first place. That's not how NASCAR went boom in the 90s and the early 2000s. You were not trying to be everybody else. You were doing your own thing. And now you're trying to be something you're not. You guys are so out of touch, man. You're so out of touch. I'm trying to be so nice. So nice. I'm trying to help you. The fans are trying to help you. Nobody wants NASCAR to have races like yesterday. Nobody wants it. I don't sit here hoping that NASCAR is going to have a crap race or controversy or whatever so I can make videos on it. I don't care. I want good racing. I want fair champions. Because at the end of the day, that will bring in more viewers. People will see that the sport is cool. You have race cars that have mean-ass horsepower that sound awesome and look cool. I mean, it's cool. Racing is cool. People like racing. Embrace that, man. Embrace it. You guys it's just... Just stop being out of touch, please. The whole bot comment and not listening to your fans. Saying, oh, this is what the fans wanted. To be ignored and to be silenced and to act like your opinion just doesn't matter. The majority of fans, and not even fans, your own drivers and race teams and race owners, they don't want this. Stop being out of touch. Seriously, please. Nobody wants this. Nobody. It's a joke, man. Sunday, the season ends. Sunday, we crown a champion for the 10th or 11th time under this format. And people are now looking forward to it. Everyone's talking about Sunday because of how much of a joke it was. No one's talking about Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and William Byron being in the championship 4. Everyone's talking about how one of them shouldn't even be there because there was race manipulation. Take control of your sport, man. Take control of your sport. Please. Please. I want this sport to be successful. It's a sleeping giant. You still have 2.5 million viewers every week. 2 million viewers every week. You still have it. It can be more than that if you just focus. Focus on your sport, man.